rightly highlighted, the premium has fallen from those levels of 70 to now 23 to 24. Having said that, there are a lot of stocks to chat about, but before we get to our guest in the show, here's a reminder for you all. If you have any queries in the futures and options market, you can call us now on 022-4540-4141. In fact, you can write to us on our social media platforms as well, Twitter, YouTube with #AskPQ hashtag. On that note, let's welcome our F&O experts. Kunal Shah of India Bulls Ventures joins us, and in a while we'll also be joined by Bhavin Mehta of Dolat Capital. Hi Kunal, good morning. The start has not been great after yesterday's record high closing on Nifty, but would you be a buyer on dips? Would you use this as an opportunity to create long position?
Good morning, Navneet, and good morning, Agam. One thing is for sure, what we have been witnessing since the last couple of weeks, India VIX is something that is giving a very good signal. Definitely it was the volatility index which was trading at multi-years low, and so now since we are heading towards the budget session, I think volatility is something which will be there in the entire month of January. Talking about the index specifically for Nifty, we are still stuck in a range between 12,200 to 12,300. This is the immediate range what I am expecting for Nifty. Any trade about 12,300 will again give a confirmation that yes, now the bear phase is over and we'll see upside of 12,500 to 600 kind of levels on the upside. So anybody who wants to wait for a confirmation, I think 12,300 is the ideal level. That is the strike, even where there is aggressive call writing has been happening at those levels. Once we start seeing unwinding happening at those levels, then definitely there is a panic among the shorts and we'll see some sharp short covering coming towards the levels of 12,500 zone. At the current level, I would still remain on a buy side. 12,200 would be the stop loss for all the futures long position, and if sustained, we can see rally toward 12,300 to 320 kind of a zone. So at the current levels, again I would say buy Nifty futures. 12,200 would be the stop loss and 12,300 to 325 would be the target. Coming to Bank Nifty, I think one should avoid Bank Nifty at the current levels. We are testing the crucial support zone of 32,200, and if breach, we can see further downside toward 31,800, 31,500 zone. So I think Bank Nifty is looking much more weak compared to Nifty. IT is supporting Nifty on the downside. For Bank Nifty at the current levels, I would say completely avoid. We are still stuck in a range between 32 to 32,500. Anybody who wants to trade on the long side on Bank Nifty, wait for a close about 32,500 decisively for 2 to 3 days. Then we can see some momentum on the upside towards 33,000 levels.
Okay, that's your view on the Nifty futures and the Nifty Bank futures. But Kunal, what about stocks that are looking good to you today?
See, my both stocks would be on the buy side, since the overall trend has still not been broken on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty index. So my first pick is GMR Infra. The stock has given a fresh breakout with good volumes. Also, the open interest addition has been quite significant. So overall, I'm expecting levels of 24 to 25 on the upside. On an immediate basis, the stock has moved quite a bit. So one can even revise the stop loss to 21.25. Buy at current levels, look for targets of 24 to 25 on the upside. So GMR Infra is my first pick. Good volume breakouts, good open interest addition, can see some significant upside in the near term. My second pick would be from the IT pack. HCL Tech is my second pick. It has given a fresh breakout from a range, and now the support stands at 575, which was the earlier resistance for the stock. The stock had multiple resistance at those levels and the stock had retraced on the downside, but since now the stock has given a fresh volume breakout and crossed the resistance level, I think 600 to 610 looks quite easy on the stock in the near term. One should definitely look to buy at the current levels, even on certain dips. Keep a stop loss of 575 and look for targets of 600 to 610 on the upside.
Okay, so those are stock-specific ideas coming in from Kunal. I think Bhavin's also joining us on the show now. Hi, Bhavin. Good morning to you. How would you trade the index on a day when there is some bit of minor correction which has come by?
Good morning. I am anticipating markets to hold on to these gains which were registered yesterday, anticipating probable a move higher The concern remains that because of weekend ahead, we may see a theta loss coming up for majority of option strikes. And given the fact that your volatility index continues to trade at sub 12 level, sense is that high probability that option buyers would tend to make more money in such cases. So I would wait for the time, let some amount of volatility definitely settle down, and probably would love to take a long trade on the markets.
Okay, so Bhavin is also currently long as far as markets are concerned. But Bhavin, what about stocks that are looking interesting to you today?
Correct. If I look at stock specific action, I'm anticipating positive momentum for Jindal Steel and Power, which is currently quoting in the range of 172 to 173. With the stop loss of 168, I am anticipating a move closer to 180, probably even a move closer to 185, 190 possible in short period of time. Recommending buy on this name. Second one will be Jubilant Food. After good amount of consolidation, this stock is breaking out of the trading range over last couple of trading sessions. We are looking at good amount of volume as well as delivery based action. So one can continue to hold long or create a long position with the stop loss of 1650. My upside target would be between 1750 to 1760. High probability this stock should continue to outperform even in longer time frame.
Okay, and Jubilant Foodworks has been an outperformer in the recent past. The stock's been trading at its live high levels, and also on the future side, build up on the long side has been seen. On that note, let's discuss some stocks which are buzzing, and as we highlighted, it's the IT pack probably which is supporting Nifty, because your heavyweights TCS and Infosys both are right now trending higher. As a result of that, even the Nifty ID index is your top sectoral gainer. So TCS futures may not have seen much of build up. Even Infi open interest is just about flat. And Agam, these are the companies I guess now will be in focus ahead of the earnings season.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to be watching out for that. But I reckon, Navneet, I'm just wondering, and this is purely a guess, when markets do become volatile because of geopolitical reasons.
Safe haven buying kicks into IT.
Yes, there's always that possibility. Let's not forget that there has been a strengthening of the rather the US dollar against the Indian rupee as well. So that is always something that we will keep an eye on, and possibly a reason why we can see some gains in the Indian IT sector. I believe
TCS is something which is trending high. Let's just take a technical check on that. Kunal's already given his buy call on HCL. So Bhavin, I'll come to you. Would you trade either TCS or Infosys looking at the gains today, or you would wait buy for some more moves to come by? What levels are you monitoring on these two charts?
So, if I come to TCS in particular, my sense is that stock is once again back to crucial supply zone. This range, it is not able to break over last couple of months. I am anticipating this range of 20 to 50 or so above to remain a major supply zone for TCS. So I will wait, to take a long position. In fact, I would suggest that anything closer to that level of 20 to 50, one could probably book some amount of profit in case he is long. On other hand, Infosys looks attractive given that stock is able to hold on above level of 720, 730 or last couple of trading session, and now it's able to break above that level of 740. My sense is stock can probably move closer to 760 to 780 where maximum OI concentration has been observed. Probably a break past that would be further positive. At the same time, on downside, I will keep a strict stop loss around 720. Anything below that, I would probably look to exit in case there is a drawdown on that one.
Okay, so that's your view on Infosys and TCS. We'll be watching out for that. Let's take in perhaps let's consider something like an Interglobe Aviation, which has also been in focus, and it is down again today. It's down another 2% today. There's been a little bit of an increase in open interest as well. Can we also take a look at the 3-month chart to see how it's been panning, how trade has been panning out for this one, at least as far as the price movements are concerned, because that would give us a better idea. So as you can see, it's lost 28% in the last 3 months. That large fall has certainly been arrested in December, but December certainly has not been a very good month for Interglobe Aviation either. So it's clearly on a downfall. Kunal, your guess, one, what levels would you watch out for Interglobe Aviation? Two, would you initiate fresh shorts even at this time, or do you want to wait for more cues?
See, I think looking at the overall structure, the stock has crucial support at 1275, 1270 from where it had seen multiple bounce in the previous past. So I think a close below 1270 will give me a confirmation for a breakdown, and then definitely we are heading towards 1200, 1150 kind of a zone. So I would say at the current levels, kindly avoid. If the stock closes below 1270, then it's an opportunity to create fresh shorts, and we can see downside towards 1200 to 1150 kind of a zone.
Okay, that's the interglobe aviation, but the upstream companies are gaining after Goldman Sachs upgrade, which has come in on Ongc and Oil India. So let's just pull up Ongc because that's the one which is witnessing both price as well as open interest action. OI build-up is almost 11% for that stock, and the spot is also trading with some bit of gains. If you go by the note of Goldman Sachs, they've clearly highlighted they do see improving volume trends, subsidy inching to zero, and also improvement in sentiment. And remember, higher crude oil prices are actually a positive for these upstream companies. So ONGC is up about 2%. Bhavin, looking at today's gain and of course some sentiment boost with a brokerage note coming by, would you trade ONGC on the charts?
Okay, so if I look at ONGC particularly, we have seen a strong gains in trade today. However, the level 134 to 135 remains a crucial supply zones for this particular counter. Unless that stock do not sustain this amount of gain that we have seen in trade today, there is high probability of once again a reversal back to 124 to 125. So I will be very cautious in taking long unless stock is able to move past level of 134, 135 and sustain. Not a long trade for me as of now. Will like to see the development in the second half.
Okay, well, before we start going into queries, I believe we should also take a look at, well, some of the stocks that did well yesterday. So Ultratech Cement was one of the biggest gainers in yesterday's day of trade. What's going on here? There's a little bit of a pause, if I can call it that, because it certainly was a surge yesterday. And open interest, again, it's not looking at too much either. Among the many other stocks, of course, it was one of the big gainers yesterday. Bhavin, would you like to come in on Ultratech Cement? The cement sector as a whole is not the most liquid in terms of futures, but what's your view here?
So if I look at Ultratech Cement, we have seen a good gains yesterday. Stock is now trying to break out. Definitely ahead of earnings, we may see momentum catching up. We have already historically seen that pre-earnings we see a good move coming up for this particular name. My sense is that high probability stock will move closer to 4400 prior to earnings. We can continue to remain long. Stock has made a good pace around level of 4000. So overall view continues to remain positive. Decline in trade today should be an opportunity to add on to the long side.
Okay, so use the dips to create long position on Ultratech. I remember yesterday it was trading very close to its 200-day moving average as well. Not sure if it's crossed that mark, but Ultratech is right now muted in session. On that note, there you go. Yep, actually just about trading at its 200-day moving average. So if it crosses that, trades above that mark for a few days, it is viewed as a positive sign. Let's take a query on Berger Paints then. I think Asian Paints today was seeing some bit of declines. Of course, these are your oil sensitive, so with crude prices inching higher, you see some sentiment reaction coming in on these companies. But we've got Preetham Das, who has a position on Berger Paints at levels of 517. He wants to know if he should look to hold on to this counter. Kunal, it's not corrected much from its higher levels of 523.25. What would you advise him to do, though his entry price is 517?
See, looking at the overall structure, definitely the stock is in a bullish momentum. The stock needs to close above 518, 519 kind of a zone, then we can see a rally towards 530, 535 kind of a zone. But since he is already into the position, my recommendation to him would be he can keep a stop loss of 500 on the downside. If that is not breached in the next couple of days, then we can see some momentum coming back into the stock, and above 519 we can see a sharp rally towards 530, 540 kind of a zone. So my advice to him would be wait and keep a stop loss of 500 on the downside.
Okay. Moving on, let's pull up HPCL, a query from Harshvardhan. It's on 270 put short. And the question is, should I hold or a book loss? What should be this? And if so, what is the stop loss? So he's sold the 270 call at 8.8. The premium is currently at 12. and the underlying is looking at a 4-point drop, but it's not a very sharp one if I'm not mistaken. And the question is, what should he do with his position right now? Bhavin, firstly, how have you placed on HPCL? Secondly, what would you do had you been short on the 270 call for HPCL?
Okay,
Pardon me, put. That is a 270 put.
yeah. Given that again a geopolitical kind of tension, we are looking at a sharp uptick coming up for Brent oil, and ideally remains negative for majority of oil marketing companies. Given the scenario, trend continues to remain negative for OMCs, particularly HPCL. My sense is that stock may correct a bit from even current levels. There would be uncertainty over the weekend as well. So I would not recommend to go long. I mean, by selling a put, he has technically taken a long position. I would not recommend at this point of time. But in case he wants to play this particular strategy, would recommend probably buying a call which is out of money, but that should be played probably at beginning of next week. The moment you see some amount of stability once again returning to Brent oil.
Okay, that's HPCL for you. Manappuram Finance, remember this has been an outperformer. The gold financing companies, both Manappuram and Muthoot, have done pretty well in 2019. Karan Pabrai on YouTube has written to us and he wants to know if he can go for an intraday trade on the future side. What would your advice be, Kunal, considering the stock right now has seen some minor profit booking?
See, talking about a long-term structure, definitely the trend still remains positive. But if I specifically talk about intraday, I think the stock is, I don't see much upside coming to the stock in the near term. The momentum will start build up once it crosses 181 kind of a zone on the upside. So I think for an intraday, even if you want to trade, wait for a trade above 181. If the stock crosses those levels, then we can see again a fresh breakout towards the levels of 187, 190 kind of a zone. So my advice to him would be if the stock trades above 181, then it is a fresh buy, and even one can trade for intraday basis.
Okay, and from there on, let's move on to Axis Bank. We have Anand who wants to know if it can be bought, if the Axis Bank futures can be bought. Coverage currently trading at 755, 756, and wants to know about the levels in January. Bhavin, this one's for you, Axis Bank.
Okay, we had seen early this particular week that stock was breaking above level of 760. However, unfortunately, it failed to sustain above this, and we have seen some amount of reversal coming up for the stock. Overall view continues to remain positive. Definitely, he should look to buy. I'm just waiting for this breakout, to sustain above 760 level. If that happens for at least a 2 trading session, my sense is stock may make a move closer to level of probably 820 to 830 on upside, given that we have been seeing a good amount of consolidation in the range of 700 to 760 over last couple of weeks. So definitely overall view long, but needs a breakout, sustained breakout above 760.
Okay, that's Axis Bank for you. And one more query coming in for a banking counter. RBL Bank, Raghav Marwa writes to us and he wants a view for February futures. Remember, in the last half an hour to 45 minutes of trade, RBL Bank yesterday surged about 5 to 8. It ended the day at least with gains of about 5.5 to 6%. With markets falling, of course, this too has seen some bit of cool off. The counter is down about 1% in trade. Kunal, how are the charts looking for RBL Bank? Would you advise anyone to trade into February futures? So it is like a 1 month call here or more than that?
See, overall, yes, the stock had given a fresh breakout yesterday. Currently, the February futures are trading around 363 levels. The stock had a breakout from 350 levels and continues to remain in a positive bias. So overall, I would say use declines towards the levels of 360 again to go fresh long into the stock. Keep a stop loss of 350, and we can see levels of 380 on the upside. So my advice to him would be a decline towards 360 would be an ideal spot where he could again initiate fresh long positions, and if 350 is sustained, then we can see some significant rally on the upside towards 380 kind of a zone. So at the current levels, I would say wait for a dips towards 360 to buy the stock.
Okay, and from there on, we move on to a query from Mohammad Ali. It's a question on Reliance Industries, specifically to do with the next few trading sessions, possibly next 2 to 3 trading sessions. Now, Reliance is currently trading at 1537. That's where its spot is. Not too much traction in terms of open interest. But Bhavin, how are you placed on Reliance Industries?
Okay, so this stock has been consistently under pressure over last couple of trading session. It has once again moved back to its trend line breakout that we have seen earlier last month. My sense is this level will be very crucial. Could look to probably buy call at higher strike price. Will not recommend a direct long on the futures front as of now. However, if it is able to move above level of 1560, 1565 on close, he can probably move into the futures and anticipate a move closer to level of 1625 to 1630 on upside.
Okay, that's Reliance Industries for you. Remember, in yesterday's trade, it was the top contributor on Nifty as well. Some buzzing stocks. Cummins is up in a market like today's. And of course, I think even the mid-cap index has recovered from the lower levels. Cummins is up about 3%. There is action seen on the future side. I was also looking at the technicals. I think it's crossed its 100-day moving average, and I'm talking about the simple DMA. There you go. You can see there on the screen, though it's still trading below its 200-day moving average. Bhavin, I come back to you. There is both price action, open interest action, cross the 100 DMA. Would you trade this on the long side?
Okay, so definitely good amount of concentration on this particular name. This stock, in fact, had been under pressure for some time now. However, my sense is that 620 would be the key level to watch out for in this counter. First move closer to 620 not ruled out. Major up move should begin once stock is able to close above level of 620. Continue to hold on to long with strict stop loss close to about 555. Remain positive at this particular level.
Okay, and well, let's also address perhaps we do have time for one more query. Okay, I don't think we have any more queries, but let's take up something like Tata Global Beverages, because I believe we have a query on Tata Coffee, which unfortunately is not in the futures and options space. So I'm going to take up Tata Global Beverages because that is an indirect way to play, Tata Coffee. And do remember that Tata Global Beverages is also one of the top gainers on the indices, well, in 2019. Not doing too much today. There is an increase of open interest of around 4.5%. Kunal, your view on Tata Global Beverages from here on, how do you, address this?
See, overall, talking about the stock in the earlier had given a fresh breakout from 290 zones. The overall trend remains quite positive. I mean, any decline into the stock should be definitely bought into. 300 is now a very crucial support for the stock on the downside. So I think any dip into the stock should be utilized. Even at current levels, one can start accumulating the stock. It is more of a positional kind of a trade, but we can see higher levels of even 370 to 400 coming on the stock in the near term. So I think utilize dips into the stock to buy and accumulate and look for targets of 400 on the upside. That is my long-term view for a 1 to 2 months perspective. The downside support now stands at 300, from where multiple bounces has been occurred into the stock in the previous in the past couple of times. So that is what my view is. Extremely bullish. One should definitely utilize dips to buy the stock, keep a stop loss of 300 on the downside, and look for targets of 370 to 400 on the upside.
Okay, there you have it. That's the view there in terms of some of those stocks which are buzzing in. And well, we've run out of time on the show, so we are going to take a moment to thank both our experts, Kunal and Bhavin, for joining us and taking us through their views on the markets and solving a whole host of viewer queries. Don't forget